Hey there. Welcome to the 1760 sessions, where we explore how EdTech founders are using AI to scale smarter, innovate faster, and build the future of learning. I'm your host, Matt Reyes, founder of 1760 Strategic AI, a consultancy that combines proven strategy with cutting edge AI to help EdTech companies scale operations and focus on innovation. And today I'm joined by Joaquin Carretero, the founder of Exam.ai, a platform that's rethinking how exams are created, graded, and delivered using AI. Joaquin, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Hey guys, nice to meet you. I'm doing great. As Matt Reyes said, I am the founder and CEO of ExamAi, and it's a pleasure to be part of the podcast.
Awesome. Let's jump straight into it. I'd love to hear more about your story. I digged a little deeper, on your website as well as your, I guess, online resume, your mini car,
Mini Kinox,
mini
yeah,
keynote.
minikinox.com. Yeah.
That was really cool going through that. Walk me through your journey from, massive tech giants like Meta and Apple to starting Exam AI and, doing that full time.
Yeah. So my career pretty much started, I did a bachelor's in computer engineering, and then my first few companies were Samsung, Philips, and NASA. And one day I got a call to quit NASA and join the Meta team for the Reality Labs. That's when I started working a lot on automation. And automation is kind of a monster of its own, right? You have a task that you want to automate, and that automation has to be simple enough that a person who is not technical could use it.
Hmm.
So after a couple of years at Meta, I decided that I wanted to get a master's in business analytics because it kind of helps you grow more into leadership to know what leadership really wants. So I could come up with an automation, but then leadership tells you, hey, well, I mean, that's great, but perhaps that didn't need to be automated.
Right.
Or I understand that you like that automation, but how is it really impacting my business? Right. So
Exactly.
I got that master's right after jumped into Apple, and that's kind of when Exam AI started. Apple, everybody might think that the big tech companies like Facebook, Apple, Google are all like a dream company. I think for me, Apple was the opposite. Apple was a company where perhaps the team that I joined was not motivated enough to innovate. And I'm a
Mhm.
person that has always been innovating. I come up with a startup every couple of weeks. And I one day just told my manager, I can't take this anymore. I really want to go innovate and make my own startup. And I took it very serious. So in January, I quit Apple because of a conversation I had with my mom. My mom is a teacher. She's a high school teacher. And also when I was in college during my master's, I was a teacher assistant. So we came to the conclusion that the way that teaching is happening at the moment is very inefficient. So teachers, say middle school, high school, or even college, they don't teach more than say 18 to 20 hours a week, even though they get paid for 40 hours a week. And that happens because they spend a lot of time preparing assessments and then grading them later on, and then taking all the complaints from the students of, hey, why did you grade that guy different from me? There's a lot of it's a hassle, all of this preparation and grading. So I saw it firsthand when I was a teacher assistant and I had to grade homeworks and grade exams. And even though the teacher that I was reporting to, she would also teach and also grade, she still needed on top of those 20 hours that she was already doing, someone to do another 20 hours. So it's a lot. It's a lot of grading.
Mhm.
So I thought, well, I know automation and it's never been easier than now with AI, right? So I took pretty much 2 months, just January and February, to consolidate the idea. What are the features that we wanted to get done, and what were the key problems? and that led to starting on March 1st, ExamAi. So March 1st, we threw away entirely the platform that we had done. This platform was done using Firebase, Flutter, and other Google tools. And we started from scratch to make it with Lovable. Lovable is a website that pretty much helps you
Love it.
get any, yeah,
So
it's
much fun to
amazing.
play with. Yeah, like even me, I don't have any coding background,
Yeah.
and I love the whole vibe coding experience and just like, it's for me because I don't have a background in coding. It's definitely been a learning curve, but just the idea of prompting and just having it's
Yeah.
so cool to see. Just like,
It's amazing. I mean, and Lovable has done it very good because while you have other tools like Replit and Cursor and I mean you even have now OpenAI Codex. There are so many tools, but Lovable seems to be the only one that really got it down to we can do this for non-technical founders,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
if I gave you Cursor, even I'm a software engineer, I don't know how to use Cursor. I get stressed. I'm like, oh my God, there is still so much coding to do, even though you're still prompt engineering.
hmm
So I started the platform, and in 19 days, March 19, I completed it, just launched it, published it onto our ExamAi.ai, and since then, I we're now at 26,000 users.
that's
So
incredible.
so
The
in about
entire platform was built on Lovable.
entire platform lovable. In fact, we don't use any external tools aside of um, Supabase, which is the
Mhm.
database and the cloud functions.
Yeah,
Everything was built on React and Tailwind CSS with Lovable, and some of the most technical parts that they were not there yet. So, for example, Lovable now lets you do a one-click Stripe, one-click OpenAI, and all of these things. We didn't have them back then
right.
in March.
Yeah,
So some of those I had to get the help from GitHub Copilot.
yeah,
So also understand I'm a very technical software engineer, right? So
yeah,
I do know how to code. So
right.
it helped me along the
Mhm.
way, but I would say not even though I could code, 90% to 95% of the platform was just vibe coded.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow. And so what
Yeah.
I'm curious, let's dive deeper into, Lovable and like these vibe coding programs. And what I really love about this is you have this incredible background, years of experience coding at Meta, at Apple. Yet prefer to your I guess tool of choice to build this whole thing out was Lovable, which is, the barrier to use that is, so low because anyone with an idea and can go and attempt to make something. So I'm curious from your perspective, why Lovable versus any other of the vibe coding platforms, or just doing it I guess traditionally.
Yeah. So ExamAI actually started vibe coding. So I started ExamAI um, in May, no, sorry, in March of not this year, the previous year, right?
Yep.
And it took me an entire year to realize that it was not efficient to be vibe coding one file at a time. So what
Yep.
I used to do is, hey, ChatGPT, I need to get this dashboard done. Give me the code.
Right.
And then it would have to give me the code, and I would have to start making the connections with this file and the other file, put a lot of input to get some output, right?
hmm
Then ChatGPT started getting slow, it started getting lazy. Then I moved on to Claude. Claude was great as well. Then I moved on to Gemini. Gemini was the best, but it was still everything one code at a time,
Yep.
right? And the problem when you're creating a startup is not coding something, is choosing which feature you're going to do because every feature is it takes a lot of time to create features.
hmm
As an example, ExamAI was created so that you can just grade exams.
Yep.
And a professor was like, well, I don't want to just grade them on paper. I want my students to also be able to take the exam on the platform. And as simple as that like seemed to be, On ChatGPT and Claude and all these tools, it took me like 4 months to vibe code this entire thing.
Yeah.
And when I went onto Lovable and I just typed the prompt, I want the student to go and take it on the platform, and it created like 7 different screens that went from one to another, kept the database tidy and everything. I knew that there was no point on going to all the other tools. So this made it easy for me to expand. I would say the main thing that I like about Lovable is that it's easy to expand. With other tools, they're easy to code,
Right.
but not to expand, because every time I want to expand, I have to think through the data architecture. I have
Right.
to think through the workflow versus Lovable. First, it understands the workflow and then it expands
Yeah.
however you want it. So
Yeah.
that's what I really like.
Amazing. And so, yeah, I guess with Lovable, do you focus on, I'm curious, what is that experience like from building, the workflow out, the structure, especially of, let's say the core system of Exam.ai, which is, grading I guess taking the tests, grading the tests automatically, automating that whole process so you can
Yeah.
eliminate all those hours. Um, on Lovable, what's like what were the steps in terms of building this product out from your standpoint? Doing that all the way to the design, the UI, the interface, because going through the Exam AI website, it was just it's a really beautifully built website. And it's very
Thank you.
attractive. And I've seen just me dabbling in Lovable. I would say one of, I guess, a non-coding background challenge is getting it to look pretty. So what was that? What was that process like? For all the listeners out there who are very curious about starting their own app, starting their own startup, and want, I guess, advice from someone
Yeah.
who's been able to do it really successfully.
I think I would say there are a few things that everybody should take care of when they're doing Lovable. The first one is don't always rely on what Lovable does, because it's not always correct. So when I started ExamAI, like I mentioned, it wasn't the first version of ExamAI. In fact, it was the third version. The first one was coded 100% in HTML, very bad. The second one was on ChatGPT, Claude, and all of these
Hmm.
LLMs. And I already kind of knew what I wanted the platform to look like, because our current platform was working, but very inefficient and very bad looking. It was just, I mean, ChatGPT has no eye on how
Right.
to make something
Right.
look beautiful. And that was the main concern as well. Um, but that was one thing, letting Lovable go rogue and say, hey, make it. So what I used to say is make it visually impressive, perfect UI UX design. We want to wow our customers. Like, you want to hype up Lovable and be like, okay, oh my God, I'm gonna come up with something that like is going to impress, right? That is one thing, but what I mentioned about don't rely on it is because you know how you want to expand,
Hmm.
but Lovable doesn't. So when it's time, for example, to create the feature for grading exams, right? You know that after grading, there is going to be sharing feedback with the students, and
Hmm.
then there's going to be taking the exams, and there is going to be practice exams later on. But since Lovell doesn't know that, it's going to come up with a database design that is very optimized for that very little thing, which is grading.
Yeah.
And then you come up with another thing, and it's like Lovable goes crazy, and it's like, oh my God, I did not expect this. I'm going to create another database, and it has nothing to do with the other one. And now everything is very inefficient, and you
Yeah.
actually cannot move forward.
Yeah.
So when I let it go rogue, it created something that was working. But then when I expanded a couple more features, it took me no less than maybe 100 prompts to get the system back up and running to a
I
stage that I would like it.
I see.
Meaning the database are separate for professors and for students rather than putting them all into one, because Lovable put them all into one, right?
Yeah.
So just always think through the problem before you give it to Lovable, because
Right.
again, just know that Lovable doesn't know your future plans,
Right.
right?
Right.
Um,
Give it everything up front versus trying to
yeah,
structure it into the.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So give it over everything up front, but also kind of look through it. I would hope that
Yeah.
everyone, when they create an app and they first integrate Supabase, which
Mhm.
is basically where your databases go and your cloud functions. As a non-technical founder, everybody has to know how databases work.
Yeah.
Not not the very deep, like you don't have to know, oh my God, I know how to do SQL commands, just like basic Excel,
Yeah.
right? Like basic Excel, you will go into Supabase and it'll tell you, hey, I just created a professor's table. And then it created that the professor's table has name, last name, professor ID, date, all of these things, right? Like make some sense out of it and tell yourself, does this make sense? And is it, do I need more fields or do I need less fields or do I want to expand, right? So that is something that everybody should be checking because it's a pain to fix it later on.
Yep.
So another thing that I would mention is for Exam.ai, I believe that the key to success right now, we have done zero outreach, by the way. So it's just 100% people who found us,
It's all word of mouth.
uh,
Just
word of
just
mouth.
Googling.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that's
So
amazing. So no
yeah,
ads, no
no ads,
copy,
no nothing.
nothing.
And in fact, not even social media. We haven't done
Wow.
anything. So I started playing with SEO, which
Yep.
is search engine optimization, right? And basically, you just have to prompt it time after time to Lovable and tell it, hey, we want to be the king of SEO in the following topics, right? What I did was a couple steps. So first I told Lovable to give me like a report and tell me, hey, do you think my SEO is good for grading exams or AI grading assistant or all of these terms, right? And it's
Hmm.
like, okay, no, I don't think so, but let me change little by little all of your sections so that they pop up all these words, right?
Hmm.
But what really helped, and I think is what helped my website launch, is a very low-hanging fruit, which is you tell ChatGPT 4.5. I think it just works with the 4.5
Right.
because it's very good for writing. Or you might try with Claude.
Yeah.
And what you do is you tell it, I need you to come up with about 20 different terms that would be the best terms for SEO for my company. And then it says, okay, AI grading assistant, grade exams with AI, and blah, blah. And it comes up with this, right? And then you say, I want you to write 20 articles, each one mixing as many words as you can into such article. And you put them on your website. And even though nobody is going to open those articles because nobody's going to jump into Exam.ai and start reading the articles of Exam.ai,
Yeah.
but because Exam.ai mentioned so many times AI grading assistant, whenever you type on Google AI grading assistant, boom, Exam.ai pops up, right? So I think actually, if you go and like, I don't know how our SEO is right now, but it used to be that you would go and type AI for grading, and Exam.ai used to be the first one after all the people who paid for Google Ads, right? Which is crazy because we literally paid for nothing. We have zero traction other than the ones that are finding us online. So everything is going great, and I think we got to a point where the company can keep growing on its own, but that's on the B2B side.
Right.
So going to professors, it's a different monster to go
Hmm.
to B2C, which is something that we can talk about later.
Amazing, amazing. Um, yeah, I guess that's yeah. I love I love how you're able to build so much SEO just organically through Lovable and not have to zero ad spending, zero outreach or anything, and you already have 26,000 subscribers, users.
Yeah.
Of those 26,000, how many are free and how many are, I guess, paid?
Most of them are free. Actually, I believe we only have about 10 paid users. We made the platform in a way that we want we don't want professors to pay for the platform.
Yeah.
what we want is their institutions to pay
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. I saw on the
So
website the
yeah,
partnership with UC Davis.
yeah. So we're partnered with UC. We are piloting at UC Davis, UC Berkeley, Stanford, and we're going soon after American University and a few other schools in Spain. We actually have much larger clients, which are, for example, we're we're really hoping that we will close a government deal with the government of Ghana.
Oh, wow.
Ghana has 500,000 educators, and we're looking for a countrywide license for Exam.ai so that they can be the first country in Africa that powers every single professor with AI.
That's amazing.
So yeah, so those are the big, so that's why it doesn't make sense to go so much after the individual
Right.
professors. What
BTC.
we want is here's the entire platform for free. Use it as much as you want.
Yeah.
If you really happen to go over the threshold limits, then we have the paid version.
Hmm.
But everybody should be able to, I mean, we have, I believe, 60 gradings per month. I don't
Yeah.
know how many people really grade more than 60 homeworks
Right.
in a single month, right? So
Yeah.
for those who really do it, then there is the paid version.
Yeah.
But uh, I would say the numbers are simple. We look to bill from anywhere from $1 to $2 per month per student
Yep.
to institutions. So you could think about um, UC Berkeley has around 40,000 students, and that would mean around 80,000 per month. So that is about $960,000 per year. So when when the goal is to get many schools,
Yeah.
and one school is already bringing you 960,000 a year, trying to go after the professors who are trying to survive and trying
Yeah.
to get their students, right? It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Exactly.
More, especially if I have to charge them $20 a month, I would have to, yeah, it wouldn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely we want to go through the institution route.
Yeah, I guess that's definitely where I saw this is really from that institution route, and then from there, give out the licenses to professors to use throughout. And so, yeah, and I think it's incredibly powerful too. With a whole countrywide, developing country like Ghana,
Yeah,
being able to empower them to leverage AI
yeah.
and really help these countries. I think, the use cases and the potential here really it's unlimited to, to do good for the world.
Yeah.
Um,
So Ghana is actually, so but my background is also, I'm from Spain. I grew up in Spain until I was 12 years old, and I moved to Equatorial Guinea, which is the country right in the equator in Africa. I was there for about 6 years. So growing up in Africa, I saw very different problems that are not in Europe or in the US. While in the US, the sale of Exam.ai might be easier to explain, which is okay, well, you're spending 20 hours a week grading and creating
right.
assessments. The African professors don't care about that, right? That's not their main goal, because
Mhm.
when they tell you you have to work, you go and you work, right? There's nothing else. For them, the sale might be different, and that is it's I'm not sure about every African country, but the concerns that I had when I was in high school there was corruption is very real.
Mhm.
When I say about corruption is a student might have failed every single class, and yet at the end they sign off and they send them to college to the United States with
Right.
a 10, 10, 10, 10, to everybody with 100, with everything with 100%, right?
Right.
So that corruption happens because there is not a tracking system throughout the student's education,
Mhm.
meaning because all the homeworks were in paper and
Yeah.
nothing was logged into a system until the very end of the semester where they tell you, hey, this is your grade, then that's where all of these problems happen. So we wanted to tackle that so that end of corruption, because you're doing 100% digitized education. another problem that was is that in Africa, not everybody has access to very high quality education.
Hmm.
Sometimes you might get a teacher, and if you're especially in high schools, 10 years ago, I I had some friends that went to a school that they had to bring their chairs to school because
Oh,
that school didn't have chairs, right? So they had to walk with their chair. And do you think that professor that teaches at that high school has Harvard or Stanford level of education? No, he teaches you whatever he knows,
right.
right? But what if that wasn't the case with Exam.ai? What if Exam.ai could now give you assessments that are definitely much higher than the professor's knowledge?
Right.
And the professor could say, okay, well, since I'm not the one grading, Exam.ai will give all the feedback, and now I can level up all of my students, right?
Yeah.
So higher quality of education, zero corruption, and of course, having AI into every student's life, which is the future,
It
because
is. Yeah.
we are having a huge gap now where people in Africa are catching up with digitizing things versus in the US, the gap is not even about that. It's about how far are we going to be with AI, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't close that gap, it's going to be too big for people to even adapt to it. So you have to teach the kids very early on. So
Right.
perhaps not by using AI, but by getting that feedback from the AI and by prompting it when you want to create practice quizzes, right? So it might be a big boost for any African country.
Definitely. And I think it just really democratizes the educational resources and just gives them the quality, being able to leverage AI. Just the
Yeah,
creation of the exam, I think that's like there's so much value in that because they probably don't even have that level of testing and that level of, you know, um,
exactly.
and I think there's just from, I think, yeah, the use case in, developed countries, the US, Western Europe or something, might be just to save time.
They're very different. Exactly. Yeah.
Developing countries, it's to make their education just better as a whole, and more efficient. What's been the biggest surprise about the education market since you started building Exam AI? Is it anything different
You
from
know,
expected or?
I would say it's a market that I think as an engineer, and if I have a tool that saves me time and gives me more performance, I would use it anytime. It's very
100%.
different from the education market. The education market is driven by a lot of laws and a lot of people who don't care about the laws.
Yeah,
Meaning, I'll explain. So you can't onboard into a university even if the university wanted to. So we have pilots ongoing at Stanford, Berkeley, Davis, and all of these. And the fact that we have a pilot means that they're interested and they have the budget, but those budgets are public
yeah,
and they have to be open to a lot of people. And before they give us the money, they have to consolidate in a lot of paperwork that it says that even though we wanted this, we found no other company that could do this, or a lot of bureaucracies such as, okay, if we want, we have actually been asked by UC Berkeley that we have a $5 million insurance, a data insurance, when we go before we proceed with UC Berkeley, meaning they could sue us or someone could sue UC Berkeley for losing the student data. And that student data, UC Berkeley can write off and say, oh, it took me this many lawyers, this many teachers, this blah, blah, to fix your problem. So getting through the door is very costly. Something that surprised me is that, for example, we have something called HIPAA compliance and
yeah,
another that is the SOC 2 compliance. So these two are very expensive.
yeah.
And depending on who does your compliance, it can range from $20,000 to $50,000.
Oh, wow.
Meaning, in order for me to get paid by UC Berkeley, I have to pay $50,000,
Oh, wow. Okay.
right? So it's very risky to do for a startup that just has a great product because even the university will tell you, I want to buy it, but you don't have that compliance. It's the chicken and the egg, right? Well, I can't
Right.
get the compliance until you pay me, but if you don't pay me, I can't get the compliance.
And is
So
that for every institution?
everyone,
So you have
every
to go
institution in the US,
every time you would have to do, a separate
you
twenty
can
thousand
you
dollar.
can you can use the same compliance all across, but every institution will also give you on top of that their own security. So they will tell you, hey, I understand that you got SOC 2 compliance and HIPAA compliance,
Yep.
but our university has some specific extra laws that you have to cover. And those laws, I mean, I filed a form for UC Davis that was 280 questions
Oh wow.
and very stupid questions that you could say that they were made 30 years ago. I mean, I was asked, um, do you have a red kill switch in case your AI goes crazy? It's like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, what is the AI gonna do? It's not gonna go kill someone.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have a person that works full time in your server room in case there is fire? Like fire, server room. I have my servers on Supabase. I
Yeah.
mean, do I call Supabase and ask them if you guys have someone like that, right? Like, how many companies actually have a server room?
Yeah.
Don't they you use Google Cloud, AWS, Supabase, right? We're but these are
We
things that have changed 15 years ago already. Like I don't know many companies that have their own private thing unless you're like multi-billion dollar company, right? So those are the blockers. And
yeah.
those blockers are made. I have my conspiracy theory that is they're made so that the big tech giants that are in the game, such as
Mhm.
Blackboard Learn and
Yeah.
Canvas, there's basically just two. There's
Yeah.
nobody else in the market,
Yeah.
so that only those can scale up.
Yeah.
Because if I go to Canvas and I tell them, hey, can you provide me with this? Well, Canvas has, I don't know, 2,000 employees, right? They can for sure get all of that paperwork.
Yeah.
If you flood me with paperwork, I can't,
Yeah.
right? So it's a way of keeping the monopoly the way that it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that's something that really impressed me, that it's a very clean solution to making sure that the people who are making money keep making the money and that education doesn't innovate as much as it should.
Yep.
Because the other part that I mentioned was that also professors, they don't follow the rules. That
Right.
they don't, even though they will tell you that they do, they don't. So many professors will tell you, I want to use your tool, even though my school doesn't allow me to.
Yeah.
And their answer will be, what are they gonna do? Right? They're
Yeah.
not gonna lay them off because they're using a tool that helps the students, but at the same time, the school didn't approve that tool. So it's a constant fight on, hey, professors, you cannot use anything I told you, anything I didn't approve, but hey, school, I'm going to use whatever I want to use anyways. So our growth has been pretty much trying to get a bunch of professors to use it so that we
Right.
can go to the universities and say, hey, you might take a look at this. Half of your professors are using it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Show the use case, show that it's already being used before.
yeah,
Break that.
exactly.
That's amazing. So I've noticed. So there's two of you in ExamAi right now, or is there?
Yeah,
Okay. So it's yourself,
there's two of
and
us.
the chief operating officer.
Yeah. Nicolas is he's also from Spain, and he's the one who took so ExamAI from before we had this version 3 that we have on ExamAI now that we made with Lovable. We took our version 2 through NVIDIA Accelerator, and we got $350,000 of funding
Amazing.
and in credits. And same thing for Microsoft Accelerator, got another 150,000. When we took that to Spain to try to expand, the first thing that happened was that Nicolas applied to two accelerators that were the top two in Spain, and one of them is in the top accelerators of Europe, which are Espacio Res and Big Euronova. And these ones really grind on how to do SEO, how to expand your customer base, how to make connections, social media marketing. So he took Exam.ai through those two accelerators, which each of them led to a very interesting outcome. The first one, Espacio Res, both of them he had to go in person. Espacio Res in Sevilla, we were the top number one startup of Espacio Res last year. And because we were, they gave us a golden ticket to go to hero training by Draper University. Tim Draper is the founder of Draper University, and he's basically a billionaire who made a lot of money with Bitcoin back in the days.
Hmm.
And he invested in Tesla before everybody did, in Apple before everybody did. So they have this program that helps entrepreneurs launch their startups, and they put you in front of investors and they help you with the Silicon Valley mentality, pretty much, right?
Hmm.
Uh, it's it's usually a $15,000 program for a single month
Yep.
that we got for free. Basically, everything covered from like flights, stay,
Wow.
food, hotels. They paid for everything because we were the number one in Spain. The second one was that Nicolas also took us to Vic Euronova and also got us the number one spot startup in Spain for that batch. And that got us into UC Berkeley Accelerator.
Oh, wow.
Now, Berkeley Accelerator is very key because Berkeley is one of the top institutions in the world.
Hmm.
And having their feedback and having their support from the accelerator program is key. So when we go to a university like Stanford and they're like, okay, well, who are you guys? And we say that we come from Berkeley Accelerator, they tend to listen more than when it's just a couple of founders. And that led to now Irfan Mojadam, who is the CTO of UC Berkeley,
Hmm.
is our mentor. So he pretty much helps us, he guides us through to how to get the first institutions now. So yeah, we have a small team but mighty.
Amazing, amazing. So that's
Yeah.
how you've been getting most of these, I guess, conversations started with, some of these other
With yeah,
these pilot programs with Stanford,
yeah.
um, that's amazing. So I guess looking ahead for the next, half year, where do you want to take Exam.ai? What does success look like to you?
You know, success is a tricky thing. So I believe that success for us, the bar is very high. I
Hmm.
wouldn't call success Exam.ai getting two schools, even if that meant $2 million a year. What I call success is that we get into an accelerator that actually gives us, say, 200K funding in cash, and
Hmm.
we raise a round that gets us to $2 million. We use those $2 million to scale at a very large scale,
Hmm.
meaning we want to be $1 billion company. And if we are not $1 billion company, I would much rather shut down Exam.ai. So
Yeah.
we're going for either for the billion or for nothing.
Yeah.
And when you grow to $1 billion, you can't think of reaching out to schools one by one or being a two-people team. We
Yeah.
need a couple $1 million to spend on an entire social media marketing team, an entire sales team, a sales team that can actually be perhaps 10 people reaching out to 100 schools per day.
Yep.
And by game of numbers, we would be within a year, say in 200 schools, right? Even if those schools were in pilot stage, hoping that they would pay a year after, but the fact that 200 schools would potentially pay would get us to a bar of 50, $80 million of revenue per year, right? So that is what I would call success.
Hmm.
Um, we actually talked to a lot of people about the same conversation that we're like, no, start small. Success means you get onboarded into one school, and we're like,
No.
the problem is I come from tech, right? And you know the salaries from engineers who get Meta, Apple, Google.
Mhm. Yeah.
We make a lot of money to the point that it doesn't make sense to leave my job unless Exam.ai was really blowing,
Yep.
right? So that's what I would say is success is $1 billion company, and we won't stop until we get to the point.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, you mentioned the goal for ExamAI is becoming $1 billion company and scaling through, venture funding and, other sources like that. Right now, if you had a magic wand to fix just one thing in your business that's holding you back or slowing you down, what would that be?
I believe it's funding because
Fun.
funding opens up the door for everything. Um, why can't we get into UC Davis, Berkeley, Stanford, and all these ones yet? Because we don't have $50,000 for a license.
Right.
But even if we had the license and we got potentially a couple clients, why can't we scale? Because we
Mhm.
don't have a sales team that would call 100 schools per day, right? Everything gets enabled by funding.
Yep.
And it's very tricky because we are we're looking to get funding from a pre-seed rather than from angels. Meaning VCs and angels are very careful about how you're going to spend their money, right?
Mhm.
If I invest in a startup, I'm really hoping that they are careful about how they spend because if it goes wrong, hey, you gotta send that money back, right? With a pre-seed is very different. With a pre-seed, it's all about I want to drop all my money as fast as I can
Yeah.
and expand as fast as I can. And if it doesn't work, tell me right now so I can close ties and we can move on to the next startup,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But don't delay because for VCs, you making 5x on the capital that they gave you is a loss. Everything is a loss unless it makes 100x, 1,000x, right? So when you go to a VC and you promise them, hey, I will make you 3x by 3 years from now, they will tell you, wow, that's a waste of time for me, right?
Yeah.
So we want to just blow those $2 million in 1 or 2 years
Yep.
and just see where it takes us.
Yeah. Just pour fuel on the gasoline on the fire.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Go all in.
Exactly. Go for like a big sales team, so in fact, we just got accepted into Google Accelerator about last Wednesday.
Hmm.
And what that means is that they gave us $25,000 in credits, and we are planning to use $25,000 per day on social media marketing on a new strategy that we came up with,
Hmm.
which is Google offered up to $2 million in credits after we burned the first 25,000.
Oh wow.
And we could go conservative and we could say, okay, we're gonna, I don't know, pay for our Gemini credits with those $25,000. What we're planning to do is create 100 different social media accounts
Hmm.
and create a workflow that every day creates 4 different videos per social media account,
Hmm.
and those videos to be very controversy style,
Yeah.
meaning
Thanks.
it's always the same character. In our case, it's going to be a purple monkey because it's very easy. Like every time you see the purple monkey, or oh yeah, that those guys are the same every time. ExamAi, and it's going to be the same one, and it's going to be interview style or podcast style,
Hmm.
and perhaps you could have I don't know, uh, an interview every day of our monkey with Mickey Mouse, right? And it's asking Mickey Mouse, hey, why is your voice so funny? Oh, I don't know, because I never, my teachers never told me anything like that. And then bam, smacks Mickey Mouse on the face, right?
Yeah.
So trying to go viral with like funny things and people understanding after, I mean, we're hoping to pump 400 videos per day onto the internet, right?
Yep.
So by game of numbers, you could potentially hit a couple million views by the end of the month. And if it's not our money, right? If it's all paid by Google up to $2 million, then some might say that it's very expensive to spend $2 million on marketing. But hey, when it's not your money, go spend it all, right?
Yeah. No, exactly. Exactly. No, that's amazing. Joaquin, I've, really enjoyed this conversation. Thanks so much for joining me today. This,
Yeah, of
seems like
course.
was packed with a ton of insight. If you're listening now and want to learn more about what ExamAi is building, we'll link to the site and resources in the show notes. And if you're a founder building in the EdTech space and want to share your story or explore how AI might help you grow faster, you can, reach out to me at 1760 Strategic AI. So thanks for listening to the 1760 sessions, and we'll see you next time.